All right. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Two Dudes, Different States podcast. And this week we're diving into the last episode of The Boys, season 2, and just The Boys overall, where we see things going in the future. And then probably next week we're going to go back to more just normal stuff that isn't just
For
solely
a couple
focused.
weeks until the end of the month when The Mandalorian comes out.
Oh, right.
That comes out at the end of the month, so
Oh, yeah.
you know it's a big deal when my dad was talking about when does The Mandalorian come out.
Oh, my. Oh,
Yeah.
my.
Oh, Neptune. No, dude. This episode, I think it was. We say this like every week is like the greatest episode of the entire entire series so far. But like this one has a
Yep.
good running for it actually being like the greatest episode of the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with the first season, with it being like no one knew like how it would be like how people would take to it, like, you know, are there gonna people like it, or are they not gonna like it? Is it too gory or whatever?
Right.
I think the second season really stepped its game up,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the producers and the writers saw that, okay, we can get away with a lot of shit. Like we can make it gorier, more gory. Say some worse words and all that jazz. And I think the second season really stepped up its game.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
There could be improvements,
Oh,
but
yeah.
at the same time, like, I'm pretty sure they're already setting up for season 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's already been confirmed.
Yes.
And I'm excited. It's a great show. Great way. It's like they're not leaving a whole bunch of cliffhangers for the next season. It's like basically they're starting right from scratch with like a new problem or something like that.
Yeah, in that regard, yes.
Yeah, not like scrapping what they've already done, but like it's
Mhm.
more of just like, okay, well, here's a new threat.
Mhm.
It's not just, carrying on from the previous season.
Right.
And I think with this last episode that we saw Friday, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was a good episode.
And I think it was, if you want to look at it through the progressive side, I think this was the show that was all about the women.
Given the name of The Boys.
Yeah. The show is literally called The Boys, and I think this last and final episode of this season 2 was should have been called The Girls, or The Women.
Basically.
They kicked the absolute shit out of Stormfront.
Yeah, I know, and
I thought they were gonna kill her for a second.
I thought
Frenchie
like Queen Maeve
or something like that was gonna rip her head off.
Frenchie summed it up perfectly in that fight. I guess girls do really get it done. Which was a beautiful line referencing the first episode where they're like introducing Stormfront and they're bringing in like they're trying to like market like, oh, there's more women on the team now of like the 7, and I think that was great because it was like it was now these 3 women just curb stomping Stormfront.
Dude, it was legitimately like a it looked like, all right, you have 3 okay, 2 fighters and like a street fighter with Kimiko. You have 3 superhero, technically super ability people just beating the absolute hell out of them. There's no technique involved. It's just, I want to cause the most damage and the most disfigurement as possible.
Yeah, and they were just clocking each other in the face.
Oh, I know. It was just like wild haymakers you see in like the UFC after like 5 rounds or something like that. And I think, with Stormfront being the very first superhero, or not, I wouldn't say superhero, but like super ability person.
Yeah.
And like the Doctor was the first, like she was the first person that was able to, take to the Compound V. They probably don't know like how durable she is. Like, I'm sure like that
well, she is still alive, so after everything she went through and full on losing limbs.
Oh yeah, and reverting back to her German state.
Yeah, I think she was just so like her brain was just so like destroyed at kind of in a sense that like she like couldn't control like like there. I think there's probably things that happen to people like if you get kicked in the head, like you start just saying things.
Oh
But
yeah.
like, and if you knew multiple languages, you might just start speaking in a different language. So she's
Hmm.
like clearly like out of it, and like she's like, oh, like I get like I'm just speaking, but I think I'm you should be able to understand me, but I'm just speaking German right now, and that's it.
Mm. I mean, like, there's been cases of people like coming out of like comas
Hmm.
and like brain surgery, speaking completely new languages.
Yeah.
Like even though they like never once spoke the language or
Hmm.
And I think you're right. Yeah, I mean, like she probably just took too many shots to the to the dome,
Yeah.
and she's just like, oh, ich bin nine. I don't even know German. I know, I know maybe like one sentence,
Hmm.
and the I don't know why they had to kill off the wife.
Um, I do know why they had to do that.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. They had to kill her off because otherwise Butcher has no motivation to stay in the show, basically. Um,
Really?
because he
I feel like
walks
she could have
away.
stayed there.
I think I think it would have been harder. I think it would have been harder to make
Mm-hmm.
a better season 3 with her around because he would. I think he would feel because the whole point of this season, the whole point of the first season is him finding out that she's still alive,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because the whole time he thinks she's dead and Homelander killed her. But it turns out she's alive, and Homelander actually had no idea that she was alive with a kid. And then this season was all about like how he was trying to get her back, and he as soon as he does, like he loses her. Sorry, my dog barked.
Gavin, knock it off.
Yeah, hears people outside. Um, and so they had to kill her off because if they want Butcher to have basically any motivation, because like essentially, yeah, the kid ends up killing Becca, but I mean, it's still sort of Homelander's fault in a way, and Stormfront's
Mm-hmm.
fault, and like he knows it's not totally the kid's fault because he was trying to like do the right thing and, as Butcher put it, not be a cunt. Um, and so they just had to kill her off because Butcher needs motivation to be in season 3 and not want to be like just stuck at home like wanting to like be with his wife. And like I don't, it could have been cool to have both of them like trying to fight back, but I think Butcher would have been too worried about her
Mm-hmm.
being there always,
Yeah,
and
she
I
she'd
didn't want
probably end
that
up
to be
being
like a
killed off anyways
stereotype.
in the next season.
Yeah, I
So.
didn't want that to be like a weird stereotype of like the guy always feeling like he needs to protect his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Um, especially that they're like basically an underground gang.
Yeah. I mean, uh, I don't know. Like, do you think he's gonna still have like a? You think he's gonna still like have like his view on Soups, even with the kid?
It's tough to say, really, and I think that's what makes going into season 3 like a really big deal for me. I want to see how that plays out and how the writers decide it should go, because right there at the end, he hands the kid off to the CIA, and we don't know
Hmm.
what they're gonna do with him or like
Well,
how.
there. I mean, like the reason he hands the kid off to the CIA is one to get him away from Homelander, two to get him away from Vought,
Hmm.
and three so he doesn't end up like Homelander.
Right.
So they're gonna try and because from what I can understand, that kid is gonna be his existence is solely so that he can fight Homelander
Hmm.
if it comes to fruition.
Right.
No, like nothing can from what we know, nothing can kill him except for another superhero that is like has the same abilities or the same type of powers.
Hmm.
Because you even saw like I think Stormfront, I think she was like the first one to make him bleed or something like that, if I
Maybe.
remember correctly.
Maybe. I
And
don't remember.
and she had like the same type of powers as he did.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be interesting. I don't think they're gonna give him. I don't think they're gonna get the kid a lot of screen time in the next season. I think he's.
Yeah.
I mean, I
I
think
don't think
he's
they're
just
gonna
gonna be
focus
there
on
like
it.
as like background noise almost. Like the
Hmm.
kid's doing well or something like that, and he's
Hmm.
he's asking about you or something like that. But
Right.
other than that, I think it's just going to be just them trying to figure out what they can do with Homelander.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, I think we got to talk about the biggest news of that episode, which is right at the end. Finding out that Representative Victoria Newman, right? That's her name.
I think it's Senator,
Oh,
or either. I mean, either way. I mean, she's a rep,
politician
but
person.
she's in the government.
She
Yeah,
works in Congress.
I'm so confused by that. I don't know, like,
Yeah.
because we obviously saw the one chick in the mental hospital have that same exact power.
I mean, if you look closely enough, it's different. I mean, we see her use it right at the end to kill the church guy. And here, just all it changes is her eyes glow. That's it. Like, she doesn't have to like reach out her hand or whatever like Cindy did. So that's a whole nother thing. Like, we have no idea what happened to Cindy. She just like left. She just left that hospital and that was it. Like, that's the last we saw of her. So I think there are like a lot of smaller loose threads that they didn't tie up necessarily, and I think that they're maybe gonna have to in season 3. Otherwise, they're just gonna have to band it all together. But I think
do you think Vought knows about her?
About Cindy?
About
about Newman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's with Vought.
Because she was with them at the beginning of the season where they went to go meet up with that one chick that Butcher knew.
Yeah,
and her head exploded.
The
She
other
was with
CIA
them,
lady.
wasn't she? And but at the same time, like, there was never really a clear shot of her in frame when all these people's heads were exploding. Like,
You
even
mean
like
in the Congress scene?
well, yeah, like even in that in the Congress scene too, and in the what's it called, in the CIA lady scene.
Yeah, well, I think that was more designed for shock value. I don't know why she would have been there unless Vought like knew they were meeting in some way, and Vought sent her to go get rid of her specifically. But I still have a lot of questions about that scene. It might be worth rewatching that with like new context of what's happening, and maybe there's something you could piece together. But I say that's probably one of the standout scenes of like that needed a bit more work. Now knowing how it played out.
And I mean, I don't know, like this next season, season 3, is going to be just filled with probably just a bunch of just patchwork, if that makes sense. Like, it's just going to be like filling in a bunch of holes.
I mean, there's not a ton of holes. At least I don't feel like there is.
No, but I mean, like the whole church, the church of I can't remember the name, but the church.
Collective?
Yeah, the collective. Apparently, they've been around since since forever.
Yeah.
And they had all that dirt on Stormfront. They probably have
She was
a whole
a member.
bunch of and she probably has like a whole they have records. They have like a bunch of just files on like all the supers.
Well,
everyone.
that's why Stan Edgar got Newman to eliminate him, because he knew that that's obviously where that information leaked from. Like, that's right. Isn't that what they met about? No, that was before it happened. Right, because they meet
Stan
and the church guy.
Yeah, that was before the end of the season. Or no,
Yeah,
that was before.
That was before the Nazi stuff got leaked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's how the Nazi stuff got leaked.
But he knew.
If you didn't notice
right.
it,
A-Train ran.
You could
through.
see the paper. Yeah.
A-Train's most useful moment in this whole season was in that last episode. The rest of the season, he was completely useless. And same with the Deep. I feel like the Deep story
got boned.
Yeah.
Hard. Like, I mean, you kind of want to feel bad for him, but at the same time, he did it to himself.
Right.
But no, he Fresca sucks. But he got screwed so hard. Like, he was he brought A-Train into the collective to get him back into the 7, and A Train gets back into the 7 because what's that guy's name? Supersonic or whatever
Shockwave.
had hit Shockwave had his head blown off.
Yeah.
And he goes, "All right, you're back in, but Deep, nah, we're not gonna put you back in." And I just like the entire time this season, he was just trying to,
Get back in.
he was trying to fix himself. He was just,
Mm-hmm.
it was all about him fixing himself so he can get back to the 7.
Yeah.
And then it just completely unravels at the end of at that very last episode.
Yeah, I think part of that plays into another key thing that was happening during the season. And I want to say it was happening with like Starlight and her character. She was often like trying to break away from like the whole like I'm tired of being told what to do kind of stuff, and like, kind of going her own path. And I felt like the Deep was constantly trying to listen to other people telling him what to do and like how to get better. And like it ends up blowing up in his face because he does all these things and they make all these promises to him and then like they fail him and like then right at the end he explodes. He's like, Fresca sucks. Which I still don't get the whole Fresca thing, but it's funny.
It's just like probably just like it's nothing, but it's just like it's there for comedic effect.
Yeah. So
but
go ahead.
No, you're good.
Oh, I was just gonna ask you, who is your favorite character this season?
I'm gonna have to say Huey.
Huey
or Kimiko.
Oh, really?
One of those two. I think they both had like some interesting character development. Huey, by the end of the season, he was like, I think it's time for me to break away from what I'm used to doing and going outside my comfort zone. And then you got Kimiko, who, she started out from the first season just being a nobody, just, a super powered being, just not being able to die, and just eventually befriending the boys, finding her brother, but losing her brother, and then becoming an assassin. And then I think between her and him, they both had the most character development, especially with her just going like, it's a roller coaster. And I think even like you heard her. Oh shit. Oh god. And like you just hear her. You actually hear her make a noise, like she's laughing.
Yeah, she laughs.
And like her brother even said she hasn't talked since like we were like 5. And I think both of them just, there's going to be a huge step from this season into the next season with them.
Yeah, I think a lot of time's going to pass.
I'm gonna say 5 years.
Ooh, 5 years.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know if that much time will pass. I was going to say like 6 months to a year, maybe.
Because these all just take place between the first and second seasons. It's like first season, and then immediately it takes place in the second season.
Yeah, the only difference now is like it kind of had like a happy ending for a lot of them, like with Mother's Milk and Frenchie and Huey, like kind of going their own ways and like trying to find their own path. It would be difficult to be like, oh, next day they have to reunite. Like,
yeah.
So I think a little bit of time has to pass for like something to draw them back. In maybe the kid gets kidnapped or something. I don't know. I'll let Seth Rogen figure that out.
It's so hard to believe that he's one of the main forces behind this show.
I thought it was weird that he was part of that FX show.
Which one?
It's the one with like all the weird creatures in it. I don't remember what it's called.
What we do in the shadows?
No, the other one. God, it was an FX show. I just know that, but I know he was like the main guy behind that, and I know he's like into like comics and graphic novels or something. And
I'm gonna have to look that up later. I can't think of it. I'm sure once I see what it is, though.
I don't know. It has something to do with like church or something like that. Not like actually church. Like the word the title of the show is in some relation to church, but I can't think of the word right now. You can look it up right now while we're talking, but
I'm doing that.
Seth Rogen FX show. I'm sure will pop up right away. And after I found out he was working on this show too, I was like, okay, that kind of makes some sense. Like he kind of has a background in this type of show where like it's a bit more edgy, it's a bit more still in the comic book realm and or graphic novel realm, and I think he's doing a great job. I guess apparently one of the characters, when they're like pitching Maeve, like, oh, here's how we're gonna like sell you being gay to the public. The two guys who pitched that idea are supposed to be Seth Rogen, the other guy who works on the show, and I don't remember the other guy's name off the top of my head, so I apologize for that. Which I thought was funny because they're like just total idiot and goofball marketing guys. But yeah, speaking of Maeve, I think probably one of the weakest characters this season was Maeve.
Oh yeah, she was just torn down this season.
Yeah, like she just like had nothing going for her, and then like the snap of a finger, she just shows up at the end. Like Stormfront is clearly beating Kimiko and Starlight, which Starlight has like a one trick. She just holds out her hand and just pushes a ball of light.
Yeah, doesn't she have like super strength?
I guess. She clearly is taking the hits and like not getting back up. Like she is getting back up. But she just keeps shooting like these balls of light out of her hand or whatever, the flash of light, and Stormfront's just like whacking them away basically, and like he's like, what is this crap? I'm like, Starlight, you're such a one trick pony. Like do something else. And then Maeve just shows up out of nowhere and starts kicking her butt. And then Maeve shows up again like 5 minutes later in a totally different spot, like probably a mile away or two. Like it's not that hard to believe that she didn't show up, but like at least reference the fact that like they were calling for help, or Butcher was calling for help, or was that after? No, that was after.
It was after.
That was after. No, it wasn't. It was before.
Wait.
Because Stormfront takes off. Oh, she was probably chasing Stormfront. It's a little contextually weird why Maeve just would show up, but it makes sense if she was like, oh, I'm going to go after Stormfront, but was just like a little bit behind.
I know. I'm pretty sure it was after. What's his name? The kid.
Yeah,
Zap
it was after.
Stormfront.
Because
he was holding her.
Butcher was calling out for help. Homelander shows up, all bloodied, and then Maeve shows up with the video of the plane crash, which was probably the only move they had left at that point.
What I don't understand is the fact that like I understand like Homelander, he goes, I'm gonna do anything I need to do, and all that type of stuff. Does he just have such a personal relationship with Maeve that he wouldn't kill her?
I don't think it's about that really.
Because like obviously like she can't release the photo or the video if she's dead. Unless she just has like a dead man switch or something like that, where it's like the moment she dies, it just gets released.
I think the threat was already too big that he didn't care enough to be like just go after it, like try and kill her right there. Because I think it probably would have taken some time to kill her. I don't think he could have just like killed it like another human or something like that. She is strong, so.
Yeah, but we really don't know how strong she is. I mean, like,
you don't know how strong any of them are.
I know, this is super frustrating. Like, you don't know what can kill them. You don't know how strong they are. Yeah. It's like, what the hell? But did you notice at the end when they're doing that press conference? You got Homelander, Maeve, and Starlight. Do you notice Starlight has her original costume back on?
I didn't notice that.
I watched a few breakdown videos, and I saw that she had her original costume back on. You know, like with the cape and the mini skirt.
Yeah.
And actually had her shoulders covered and stuff. The costume that she wanted, like when she originally joined the Seven, instead of that, the more provocative one.
That's good. But, God, it was just in my head for a second there. So I know this is something you were looking forward to all season, but it didn't end up happening. What is your take on Black Noir?
Oh, well, from what I was so pissed off when the last episode when she was ripping off his mask. I was like, oh my God, we're gonna see it. But
Saw some of it.
dude, they say that he's in a coma. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he didn't get his EpiPen in time, I guess, which I didn't know that's how it worked. But I'm not allergic to anything, so I wouldn't know.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing what I know from what Adam told me from the comics,
Mm-hmm.
I think you know exactly what I'm thinking too.
Yeah.
They probably just have another one.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
You know what I mean?
Well, I've been seeing a lot of more theories online, and I think I prefer and back up this idea because when they did reveal his face, it was a black guy who is the actual actor of Black
Mm-hmm.
Noir, and a lot of people are saying that it's a clone of some sort of Stan Edgar or like his son or something like that. Um,
Really?
yeah.
I did not. I did not know. I haven't seen anything about
Oh
that.
yeah. That's the theory I'm backing over the graphic novel version, because um, I don't really see any value in making it. Okay, can we just say what it is in the
Yes.
graphic novel?
Okay.
It's been out
In
for
the
like 20
comics,
years.
okay. In the comics, apparently, Black Noir is a lesser version of Homelander. He's a clone of Homelander,
hmm And I see.
and
Go ahead.
so we don't know who he is in the boys the show, but we know who he is in the comics.
Right.
So I'm assuming that this was me. This is my personal theory. I'm just assuming, he's in a coma. They're probably just gonna be like, axe that guy. We have like
Mm.
18 million others in this laboratory
Mm-hmm.
somewhere, and we're just gonna throw the Black Noir suit back onto him and call it a day.
Mm-hmm.
Transfer his consciousness into another clone, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the end of it. And I'm sure there might be the same with Starlight, or not Starlight, Stormfront.
Oh, yeah. That
If you
could.
think about it,
Mm-hmm.
because she
She's
was
not dead.
originally, you know, back in
Liberty.
like
Well, she
1920 or
just
something
doesn't
like that.
age.
But we don't know like if she doesn't age or they've been just keeping clones of her.
Mm, I don't know. I'm
Because
going with the doesn't
she
age.
was Liberty back in like the 60s, 70s,
Yeah.
and then she's now Stormfront. You don't know if she's just doesn't age or there's clones of
Mm,
her or something like
I don't
that.
know. She regenerates, right? Like she doesn't have any of the scars from when like Homelander was lasering
That is
her.
true.
So I I think there's something going on with the chemicals where they don't age. Um, because I think they're avoiding the cloning storyline because that does complicate a lot of things. Um, and I don't think that this Black Noir in the show will be a Homelander clone. Um, Maybe it'll have clone of his powers, but not necessarily like it's not like Anthony Starr underneath the mask. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um,
The only problem I have with the not aging thing is that it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense considering a lot of these superheroes like Homelander,
mhm.
Starlight, I don't know about I mean I guess we can say the same thing about Maeve. They were all given this product when they were younger.
Oh, that's a good point. I don't know.
So like they were like Starlight was given this um back when she was, a little kid and now she's, 20 something.
I don't
And
know.
same with Homelander. Homelander
Yeah,
was basically grown in a lab.
yeah, yeah. You got a point there.
So, I mean, but I just thought of this. Let me bounce this theory off of you.
All right.
What do you think about Stan Edgar
Mm-hmm.
being a soup?
Um,
What do you
it's
think about that theory?
probably pretty likely gonna be true. I don't know
Yeah,
what he does. Maybe he's just really smart.
maybe
Um,
he has like telepathic abilities or something like
oh,
that. He has like influence or
maybe.
something like that. Maybe that's like how
Hmm.
he's been able to control Homelander for so long.
I don't know. It's a good thought. I definitely think he maybe has it. Well, because if he does have it, then the Black Noir clone thing does make more sense
Hmm.
in some way.
But and then I don't know. I just keep thinking of more and more theories about Stan.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe he was like maybe he's been a like one of the like the 5 people that were the original Supes, and he worked with the Vought guy back at the very beginning,
Mm-hmm.
just like as a background character,
Yeah.
And he was like, "I'm gonna test this on myself," and was able to, Stormfront thinks that she's the very first to be like the very first super,
Mm-hmm.
but in reality he was,
Mm.
and he's just been around for years and years.
Mm.
But I
Pulling
don't think
a
that's gonna
long
happen.
con.
But...
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Anything else you wanted to talk about?
I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah. That's true.
It was so. I was like, "What is he? Oh no, he's actually doing it." I
Yeah.
thought he was gonna laser half the city when he finished.
No. No. He cares too much about his reputation. And but there's this one reviewer online that I watch, and she was becoming rather sympathetic to the Homelander character. And
Fucker.
and
I don't feel sympathy
and
for
I
that
get
guy at
that. And
all.
I get that. And most of the comments were like, why do you want him to be a good guy? Like, or an anti-hero at least. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that Homelander's just so close to being Superman in the same sense.
Oh.
But like if he just had like less vanity,
Mhm.
he drew that part back, he would actually be like a Superman. Like his kid will probably end up being closer to that than he
Yeah.
is.
I think people are just so like they're so conditioned that anything that resembles Superman
Mm-hmm.
has to be Superman.
Right.
And I guess like you can like kind of consider basing like that off of just Superman was like one of the very first comic book characters,
Of course.
and there's been clones of like of his character all throughout like Marvel,
Oh yeah. Hyperion.
DC, and now this,
Mm-hmm.
and even like you can sort of like put it into perspective like with Umbrella Academy,
Mm-hmm.
like but people just need to understand that there's only one Superman. Everything
Right.
else is just an imitation, and it's just not meant to be Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can have pity for the actual Superman, but everything else is just like no,
Yeah.
this is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. He's meant to be the bad guy in this series, Homelander. Yeah. Overall, I enjoyed the season.
what would you give it as a ranking out of 10?
Out of 10, I'd give it like a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10?
Yeah.
I'd give it a soft 9.4.
Okay.
9.4.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's ever a 10 out of 10 in my book, as we all know. But no, I think it's a soft 9.4,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the third season can only go up. In
Yeah.
my opinion.
I don't think this season set a bar for a follow for like the next season. Whereas I think the first season set a bar, and the second season didn't necessarily break it, or like it. I think
it didn't shatter it. That's for sure. It just
kind of met it in a sense.
It was like I said at the beginning. I think the first season was a testing ground. Like
Yeah.
it was just like, okay, what can we do and what can we get away with? I think the second season was just like, okay, we can do this now and we'll do it even better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the third season is just going to be a culmination of the two. Because I don't think this show is going to last for much longer.
No.
I think it's probably going to be like 1 or 2 more seasons.
Yeah, I'd say so. Like 4 seasons is probably going to be where it's at. And I think another thing is that for like these, I think they needs to focus more on the characters, and less on like shock value moments, basically, on like things that are like pretty shocking to like see on television. It needs to like really like go more deep into these characters. Like I loved all the Butcher stuff. Like he was probably my favorite character of the season, and then I loved all the Frenchie stuff and like even some of the Mother's Milk stuff. Like we really went deep into like some of these characters, And I think it'd be nice to like continue to do that kind of stuff rather than like pull away from that area and try and like be more mainstream and do more violence and blood and stuff like that. Because for the most part, this season was pretty tame when it came to like visual effects. Like other than Homelander like taking off and landing,
Yeah, there was maybe
and
like
lightning. There was like nothing.
There was like maybe 3 instances where like they're like, okay, well here's our CGI budget.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we're gonna be doing. And then there's other times where there's like, okay, whoa, just like we're gonna go through the ceiling with our CGI budget. Like you had
throw
the
Kimiko through a building
with Homelander,
yeah,
where you lasered them, and then you had the heads blowing up in the second to last episode.
Yeah,
and maybe like one other.
They were very particular about where they used it. It wasn't like any other show, like a CW Flash show or something like that, where it's like every episode has to have some scene where it's like using a ton of speed force nonsense.
And I think it works like with like these types of shows, like the boys shows where you only get like 8 episodes and you can consummate your budget somewhere else or wherever you need it. And granted, Amazon is a trillion. Is it officially a trillion or is it?
I don't know. Probably.
It's just it has so much money. And you can just be like, how much you need, and here you go. I think it's such a better use to have like a 10 to 12 season or episode season instead of having like 24, or because you're spacing your money out every few episodes, like, oh, we can't do that, so then the CGI goes through the shitter.
Yeah.
But with this, you got it's the same with with Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones had like a budget, and I mean they only had like 10 to 12 episodes in the final couple seasons. So I think the less episodes a season is a better use of money and a better use of like technology wise, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so
it does. All right. Well, I think that was a good episode.
Oh yeah. Can't wait for this 3rd season. Probably gonna wait 3 years with this Corona bullshit. But good news is Mandalorian comes back in a couple weeks.
Surprisingly, doesn't it feel like it's October?
3 weeks.
Yeah. Wow.
WandaVision comes out in what, December too?
I was not planning on watching that, but
what?
I don't know.
You got Disney Plus. You got to watch it.
I don't know. I have no interest in watching it.
Do yourself a favor. Watch the new Rockstar breakdown. What?
Okay.
Yeah, it's a weekly one.
Oh, I'll wait till it's all out then. That's not a show I want to watch week to week, honestly. I don't care enough. I've said this to you before. I just don't care about Marvel that much anymore.
You do, and you'll
the
want
Marvel
to.
Cinematic Universe, to be clear.
Once Spider-Man comes back, you'll be fine. By the way, Jamie Foxx is returning as Electro in the new Spider-Man movie.
I saw a meme the other day. That was one of those like boys only want one thing, and it's disgusting thing, and it was like it was a Photoshop picture of like Tom Holland Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in like a Spider-Man live action Spider-Verse kind of thing. I was like, that'll never happen, but
like at all, because
I don't know who wants that either. I don't want that. People are so obsessed with Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man.
It's honestly the most frustrating thing in the world.
Yeah, I mean those movies are like hilarious to watch now because they're like so dated and so like out of like they're just like in no comparison to the new ones. And then like you have that small faction of people who are like, but like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man's pretty good too. They're like, his Spider-Man was good. His Peter Parker was crap.
Straight and clear, Andrew Garfield's depiction of Spider-Man is awful.
No, like him being Spider-Man, like quippy and like stuff like that was pretty good. It was just like the overall writing of that movie. The movies were terrible and like, like I don't blame Garfield. I just don't think people should enjoy those movies.
Shouldn't be Sony owned. It should be Marvel owned.
No, I disagree, but
okay, you just don't like Marvel anymore.
I just don't like Disney.
Okay. That it? Or Disney's listening. Take it back. Take it back. They're listening. You need
Never.
to run.
Hold my ground.
Bennett. But all right, we'll see you all on the next week's episode of Two Dudes Different States. As always, I'm Zach.
I'm Andrew.
We'll talk to you later.
Peace out.